Okay, so it says I'm screen sharing. If so, I could just confirm that you can see my little PowerPoint slide here, that'd be great.
Yes, we can see
Okay,
it.
great, fantastic. Well, we're very happy to be a sponsor of the virtual eBUG conference. We were actually planning to do this the last couple of years in person, but definitely happy to sponsor what we're doing here virtually. And in the next 10 or 15 minutes, I just wanted to provide an update about what we as a company, Third Iron, are doing. So I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO here at Third Iron. And for those of you that work with us, thanks very much for being our customer. If you're not very familiar with us, or even if you are, I thought it'd just be interesting for me to just share a little bit in terms of, again, what we're doing as a company and what our overarching mission is right now, really the things that we're really concentrating and focusing on. And that really is, in a nutshell, that we're looking to provide the best article linking everywhere. And we kind of break this apart in kind of two different ways. One is that we started on a path about 4 or 5 years ago in developing AI-powered technology in order to provide fast, reliable, and informed one-click access to PDF and HTML articles from any point of discovery. In or outside the library. And I'm going to break down what I mean by fast and reliable and informed here in the next slides. But the basic idea here is that we're really looking to provide LibKey as a linking solution on whatever point of discovery a researcher might start from, whether that's in the library, in your discovery service, or in a database, or just kind of out there on the open web. And second, really one of the things that we've been focusing and working on is the facilitation of LibKey integration into the fast-growing number of open web discovery services to organically connect researchers with library content. And I'll break that down here in a slide for you as well, too. But that really, in a nutshell, is kind of what we're up to as a company. Further developing our technology to provide, again, the best linking to articles from any point of discovery, and then to make use of the LibKey technology very easy, really for any service that wants to provide full text access via a researcher's library. So if you know much about what we're doing at Third Iron, or if you're currently using it, I think a lot of people think about what we're doing as an integration within the discovery service. So if you're using Primo, for example, and you have LibKey integrated, the links probably appear something like this. We have a download PDF link. And there's other linking and data elements that we can provide too. We can provide a link back to the journal volume and issue within the article record. We have the cover image, which gets displayed within Primo as well. But in the last couple of years, we've expanded and developed LibKey so it can be used in databases also. Really any database that a library might be using today, we can provide that, again, that fast, reliable, direct linking to full text content. Again, whether it's your discovery service or your database. How we're looking to kind of expand and improve what we're doing within best linking. There's a number of initiatives that we have underway right now. One is just simply adding more sources and more articles. We are able to support direct linking to literally tens of millions of open access and subscribed articles from lots of different publishers and sources and platforms and whatnot. But this is always an ongoing project for us. So we continue to devote resources in order to, again, create an infrastructure needed for us to support more and more direct linking across, again, all sorts of different content types and sources and platforms and whatnot. So what this means for end users at the end of the day is just more direct links, not just simply from big publishers, but really from lots of different publishers and sources. Second is that we've been really looking at common reasons for link failure, particularly open URL linking errors, and seeing how we could maybe address those. So we've been working with EBSCO now for the last year or so on a technology that can help us confirm availability of articles on the EBSCOhost platform before we even create a link to the content. Because we know one of the common linking errors in OpenURL is when the source queries the target and says, hey, it looks like the A to Z list says that the article is available from this journal, but it turns out that that platform actually does not have the article for whatever reason. Maybe they missed loading it, or it's too new or something like that. That can oftentimes lead to this error screen here that folks on the call are probably very familiar with, which is, hey, no results are found, right? That it looks like that link should have worked, but it didn't, and instead the end user gets that error message, which we know can be very frustrating both for librarians and for researchers. So we've worked with EBSCO to create a system where we can confirm availability of full text before we actually create a link out to it, And if there is no availability, we can turn to either different sources or to alternative fulfillment mechanisms such as interlibrary loan. What this again means for end users is significantly more reliable, faster linking to the PDF within EBSCOhost environments. And we find this particularly germane for libraries that are using ProQuest and XLibris systems. Oftentimes EBSCO and ProQuest don't play very nice together, but if we have libkey integrated either in your discovery service or your database, again, we're looking to provide a much more reliable path out to EBSCOhost content, and to have that path go directly to the PDF, not just simply to the EBSCOhost platform or to the article page or whatnot. The third thing that we're doing is we're building up kind of our open access knowledge base by ingesting a number of different data sources, on paywall being a big one, but other ones as well. And that just simply allows us to create more links to open access content and to allow libraries to elect whether or not they want those links to go to only version of record or also to include alternative sources such as manuscript and whatnot. So what this simply means is that if an end user finds a record which is indexed in a database or in your discovery service, if there is a open access version available, especially the VOR, libkey will link directly to that content. And we've actually found that this is going to help address some problems in reporting from sources like DOAJ, which is currently not reporting coverage information. And we've heard from a number of libraries that the A to Z list says that this article or this journal is available from DOAJ. The link resolver assumes that it's open access, and end users being brought to dead ends because actually the journal is only available open access over a certain period of time, not the entire range of coverage is listed in the A to Z list. Therefore, dead links are being created. Because we're not relying upon DOAJ to report coverage information, instead we're creating our knowledge base at the article level of open access availability. We can bypass a lot of those issues again, which create problems for link resolvers when we're trying to get to open access content. And then we've also heard a growing interest among a lot of libraries about providing analytics of open access usage, that they're saying, hey, great, that we can create a lot of these links to OA content, but it'd be nice to know which journals and how often and whatnot. So we're building out our analytics to report the open access usage via libkey as well. So that's kind of the third thing that we're doing to, again, kind of provide that best-in-class linking to articles. And then the fourth is we're going to be adding retraction alerting. So in that opening slide that I went through very quickly, I talked about how libkey is really being developed to provide the best, fastest, and informed linking available. And retraction alerting is one aspect of kind of that informed linking. So by keeping track of retraction status, we can alert end users when they attempt to get to an article that has been retracted before they get to the article itself. And here's a couple of screenshots of what this is going to look like. So in something like Primo, for example, I don't have it highlighted, but you can hopefully see here in the screen there that there's actually going to be what we call signposting that indicates that this article has been retracted. And then there's going to be an interstitial screen there that, again, will alert the end user of the article's retraction status, and then also provide additional details about why that article was retracted. So again, we kind of think about, linking not just simply going from point A to point B, but also enriching kind of that information journey with salient information that the end user might want to know about. And we find retraction information is particularly important just because it's very uneven in terms of how different sources report that. Even among publishers themselves, how retraction is reported, if it's reported, when it's reported, can definitely vary. And we typically find if the article comes from an aggregated source, there is no retraction alerting at all. And again, we find that this is a growing problem, particularly within certain disciplines where end users end up using or citing information that they have no awareness about its retraction, just because at the point of discovery, there was no information provided about retraction. So again, we kind of think about the best-in-class linking that we're working on developing with libkey. It's all about fast reliability, but it's also about informing that information journey with additional data elements that can definitely inform the research process. And then the second thing that we're really working on, as I mentioned, is kind of open web linking. We know that a lot of researchers start their information journey inside the library, but many don't. And when we think about places where they kind of start outside the library, Google Scholar and PubMed are good examples of where they start, of course. And we know that Google Scholar and PubMed at least provide an option where a library, through going through a number of steps, can integrate their link resolver to hopefully try to connect end users back to library content if they start at these sources. But we really kind of look at that process of setting up a link resolver in an external service is pretty cumbersome. A lot of steps that are required, and different publishers and whatnot need to participate in sending, holding this information and whatnot. So we don't really find that as a very scalable or sustainable kind of model, especially among a rapidly growing number of new public discovery services out there. And instead, what they're turning to in providing that linking mechanism is libkey. So we have kind of agreements in place then with a good number of these and an ever-growing number of them. Sites like Semantic Scholar, Lens, Meta, CitationZ, a number of other services out there, which are actually using libkey as the mechanism to connect end users to library resources. So again, this bypasses all the additional steps and kind of cumbersome requirements and whatnot that a library would otherwise have to do in order to get the link resolver set up in again, these kind of blossoming number of public discovery services out there. So what does this look like for a researcher? Well, if you start in Semantic Scholar, rather than just linking to content via DOI, which again in many cases isn't very helpful, either because the end user is not on site with IP authentication, or maybe the access doesn't come from the publisher, but instead comes from an aggregator. Lots of dead ends that a lot of these services are aware of that DOI linking can create. So they're instead using a very simple integration with a libkey in order to go from that record within this public discovery service and link back to library material, again, via the libkey infrastructure. So this is, again, just kind of one of the things that is important, I think, for libraries to be aware of is, yes, we are a library services company developing best-in-class linking technology to be used in library services, but we are very committed in providing awareness about a library support for research and being able to provide technology for, again, a fast-growing number of sites to integrate in order to connect researchers using those services back to library material. So what does this really mean? It means that what we're doing here at Third Iron is about keeping the library at the center of the research process, regardless of whether or not the researcher is starting in your databases or in your discovery service or out there on the open web or using sites like PubMed or browsing or whatnot. So that's what we're up to. And again, I'm very happy to support the eBUG conference here this year and appreciate the opportunity for providing just a quick update of what we're doing here as a company. So I know time is tight, but happy to answer any questions that folks might have here in the last minute or two.
I don't see anything in chat. If anybody wants to ask a question, go ahead and unmute yourself and shoot away. Well, Kendall, thank you for this presentation. This was really informative. We look forward to continue working with you throughout the coming years.
Great, absolutely. Well, thanks again for the opportunity to join the conference today, and have a good rest of the day and Friday. Thank you.